Write this down. Readjusting your flight course. This is so important. Some of you may be aware that the Lord has been very good to us. We've been privileged to fly our own aircraft. This past year I've been so educated having that honor, because the pilots in our church who fly us, they taught me so much about flying. When you fly those big jets, you don't learn hardly nothing. But when you are sitting constantly in the environment where these professionals are working, you learn so much. And I walked out of the aircraft this year understanding God more than anything else. And I found out some things, and I sat down with our pilots over and over again, and I just asked them questions. I'm very inquisitive. I saw all these buttons and all these dials and all this stuff in the cockpit, and I keep asking, I said, what is that? What is that for? Why is that moving? Why isn't that moving? What's this light? And they would answer me these questions, because I want to know. I want to know what makes this thing successful, what makes an aircraft fly. And I discovered some things about an aircraft that is exactly like God. And it's how we relate to God. The pilots told me these things I'm going to give you right now. Number one, the first thing the pilot says, you must decide your destination. You never leave the ground. They won't allow you to leave the ground without a destination. Can you imagine? You don't just take off from an airport. You have to know exactly where you're going to land before you leave. They will not allow you to take off. How many of us go into life, don't know where we want to end up? I'm going to say it again. No aircraft leaves the ground until the tower knows their destination. Number two, this blew my mind. They must file their flight plan. Filing your flight plan means you must also submit to the authorities the route that you are going to take, the plan you have to get there before you leave the ground. And then number three, you must monitor your flight with the plan, with the constant communication with the tower. Every single second, the pilots are talking to the tower. Every second, they're talking to the tower. Matter of fact, the tower is talking to them. I consider God the tower. The Holy Spirit is the communicator. And you and I have left the ground. You are on your way to a new year. And 2005 December is supposed to take you to a certain level in life. The question is, have you filed a flight plan? Do you know what you want to do this year and how you plan to do it? This one is so interesting. The pilot says, I must follow the instructions of the tower because the tower sees the total picture. My pilot said to me, he says, any given minute around you, in a 5 miles radius, there could be 1,000 aircraft. You can't see them, but there are different levels all around you. And the tower sees all of them, and the tower knows where you are. The problem is you don't know where you are in the whole system of aircraft. So you have to depend on the tower, and everything they tell you to do, you must do, because they know where the other crafts are. You cannot see the other crafts, but the tower knows. God knows where every single situation is around you. You're going to have to stay close to God and follow His instruction every day, because you don't know who you could collide into or what you could crash into. Sometimes God will tell you, hold steady, and you want to move. One time, Captain Thurston said to me, oh no. I said, what happened? He says, they want us to pull back. We got to slow down. I said, man, we're late. He said, but the tower says we got to slow down. I said, but we're going to be late. He says, yeah, but the tower said. He said, you as my pastor, but that's my tower. I got to slow down. And after about 20 minutes, he says, they sent a message, you can now speed up again. And he said, when we began to speed up, all of a sudden he saw this big delta went past. He said, that's why they told you to slow down. Sometimes God will tell you, hold it right there. But you're so impatient, he sees the big picture. God will tell you, don't marry this man. And I mean, love is of disobeying God like crazy. God, you don't understand. I love this brother. After all, I'm 42 and I got to grab something. God said, don't do this. Now watch this. God knows there's another brother about 2 miles away on a different latitude, and he's the right one. But since you can't wait, you crash with this one. Bang! And you end up in a helicopter rather than a Boeing 747. God have mercy on your soul. We got to follow instructions because the tower can see the total picture. Next principle, no matter what the conditions, you got to stay on course. Things fall apart in your life. God says, keep believing. Everyone abandon you. God says, stay steady. You lose your house. God says, still believe. I mean, the very business God told you to open, it closes. God says, stay steady. Everything you thought was already yours, you lose. God says, stay steady. When the conditions change, you got to obey the last command he gave you. What did God tell you last year that you have totally refused to do? No matter what the conditions, you got to stay on course.
Thank you.